The chamber of the Galactic Council stretched beyond sight, built of living crystal that shimmered with the pulse of stars. Countless delegates filled the tiers, scaled, furred, plated, and luminous beings from every known system gathered under the banners of their civilizations. The air hummed with translation fields and the faint vibration of tension. Something was different today, something grave. At the center of the grand hall stood a small circular platform of white light. It was empty for now, waiting for the representative from a young world, one recently invited reluctantly into the council's presence. That world was Earth. No one truly knew what to make of them. They had risen fast, too fast. From fragmented radio chatter to star drives in less than 3 centuries, from chemical rockets to subspace warping without aid. And worse, they had done it alone. Now the council had summoned them to account for their actions in the border territories, where an entire pirate armada had been annihilated in under an hour. The destruction had been so complete that not even debris fields remained, only ion echoes drifting in cold space. The council demanded explanation. The light flared, and the human appeared. A single figure. One representative. Not clad in armor or adorned with medals, just a simple uniform, black with faint silver lines running down the sleeves. His name was Captain Elias Ward, and his calm eyes scanned the vast chamber without fear. The murmurs began immediately. "That is the Terran," hissed one delegate, its multiple eyes narrowing. "They send one? Only one," rumbled another, the sound like grinding stone. "A species so arrogant they believe themselves enough," said a third, voice dripping with disdain. The high speaker, a towering crystalline being known as the Arbiter Prime, raised a hand. The murmurs faded into stillness. "Representative of Earth," the Arbiter said, its voice echoing through 100 frequencies at once. "You have been called before this council to explain your world's actions in the Altharian sector. The annihilation of fleets without authorization violates interstellar law." Elias's tone was measured. Those fleets were slave ships. They carried 10,000 innocents bound for forced labor. The laws you speak of did not protect them. A low hum filled the chamber. Discomfort, anger, accusation. "The matter of morality is not yours to decide," said the delegate from the Verith Dominion, its carapace gleaming under the chamber lights. "You are new here. You obey or face consequence." Elias looked directly at it. "We do not obey tyranny. Not anymore." The words hung in the silence that followed. The Arbiter's form shimmered slightly. "You claim righteousness yet wield destruction. The records show your vessels used energy signatures we have never encountered. Weapons unknown, power unmatched. Explain how your kind achieved this." Elias hesitated for the first time. His eyes flicked briefly toward the center of the chamber, where a glowing sphere displayed the symbol of the council. 1,000 stars surrounding one unlit point. He spoke slowly. "We did not invent it. We remembered it. The hall erupted with noise. Remembered? Impossible. No species remembers power beyond physics." "Silence," thundered the Arbiter. "Clarify your statement, human." Elias nodded. "Our scientists found relics beneath our oceans, buried deep before our recorded history. We once thought them myth. They were not. They were warnings, records left by those who came before us." The Arbiter tilted its crystalline head. "You speak of an ancestral race." Elias's voice dropped. "We call them the Architects. You call them the Forerunners of the Stars." Every being in the chamber froze. Even the ambient hum of the translation field seemed to pause, as though the machines themselves feared the word. The Arbiter's voice fractured with disbelief. "You claim descent from them?" Elias met its gaze. "Not descent, continuation." For a heartbeat, no one moved. "Then chaos broke loose." "No, impossible!" shouted a delegate from the Hydraxian swarm. "They vanished 1,000,000 years ago," said another, trembling. "The Council's archives state their extinction is absolute." "Extinction," Elias said softly, "is a matter of perspective." The Arbiter's light dimmed. "If your claim is true, you must present proof. Speak your world's true name, as recorded by the Architects themselves. The Council will verify its resonance." Elias exhaled slowly, as though preparing the chamber itself for what would come. "You will regret asking," he said. "Speak," commanded the Arbiter. He stepped forward, his boots echoing faintly against the glowing floor. When he spoke again, it was not in any known language. It was older, resonant, and heavy. Each syllable carried a weight that seemed to bend the air itself. The sound was simple, yet vast. It was a word that resonated in the bones of every being present. The translation systems faltered and went silent. Light dimmed. The living crystal of the hall shuddered, and in the minds of all who heard, images surfaced. Worlds in flame, stars bending to will, civilizations born and erased by a single hand. The Arbiter itself staggered. That name cannot be spoken. Elias's eyes were unflinching. It already has been. One of the elder delegates covered in luminescent spores whispered, "The forbidden title. The one sealed in the archives?" "The name of the architect's homeworld," murmured another. "The cradle of their empire. The world that burned the void." The Arbiter's voice quivered. "You claim your world is the origin world of the first civilization?" Elias gave a single nod. "In your words, yes. The world you call Origin 7. The one whose records you erased because even memory of it frightened you." Panic rippled through the assembly. The idea alone threatened the structure of everything they believed. For millennia, the Council had ruled by the notion that the first civilization had vanished. Their power, their relics, their knowledge, buried, forgotten, mythologized, and now standing in front of them was one of their children returned. The Arbiter tried to recover its composure. "If Earth is truly the origin, then where are your relics? Your fleets of legend? Your dominion over physics itself?" Elias's voice turned cold. "We buried them. We feared ourselves. We forgot what we were, so that the galaxy might survive what we had done." The silence that followed was deeper than any void. Elias continued, his tone a calm echo in that quiet. "Our species fell once. We made weapons that could unmake suns. We thought we were gods, and we paid for it. When we rebuilt, we swore never to reach for such power again." The Arbiter's light dimmed further. "Then why now? Why awaken?" "Because someone remembered us first," Elias said. "When your border fleets took children from the colonies and called it trade, you woke the blood of the architects." No one spoke. Even the crystal walls seemed to absorb his words like a wound reopening. A small feathered delegate from the Vescan hives trembled. "You mean to say your awakening is vengeance?" Elias shook his head. "Justice. There's a difference." The Arbiter leaned forward, its many facets reflecting Elias's image 1,000 times. "And what will Earth do now, bearer of the forbidden name?" Elias looked up toward the vaulted ceiling where holographic stars drifted in slow motion. "We will remind the galaxy what we once were. But not through conquest, through consequence." The council chamber dimmed as the light shifted. The holographic stars overhead flickered, and then one by one began to go dark. The delegates shouted in alarm. "What is this? An attack?" "Deactivate the display." Elias stood unmoving. "That is no display. That is the real-time map of your frontier sectors." A stunned hush followed. The Arbiter's light pulsed rapidly. "You cannot mean—" "I mean the fleets you sent to our border have already been neutralized," Elias said softly. "No deaths, no destruction. Every vessel disabled, every weapon offline, every system erased from your control. Your warships will drift, untouched, until we decide they may move again." The Arbiter's crystalline voice cracked. "Such power, such control, should not exist." "Yet it does," Elias replied. He turned slightly, looking across the rows of stunned delegates. "The architects gave us one last failsafe before they fell. A memory encoded in our DNA, dormant until triggered by injustice on a galactic scale. You awoke it." Many of the delegates recoiled, as though the very human before them radiated the heat of an ancient sun. Elias took another step forward, and the hall itself trembled with a sound that was not sound at all. Something deeper, older, a pulse in the fabric of existence. He spoke again, quieter now, but every being heard it as though whispered into their own minds. "We are not conquerors. We are caretakers. We forgot that once. We won't forget again." The Arbiter tried to respond, but its voice fractured like shattering glass. "What is his Earth's true title?" It managed, barely audible. Elias looked directly at it. "The title is not ours alone. It belongs to the legacy we carry. You knew it once, long ago, before your own records were sealed." He paused, and then said the words that ended the noise of stars. "The keepers of the silent forge, The words spread like fire through the neural networks of the council chamber. Every being felt the meaning unfold in their minds, not just a name, but a truth. The forge was the origin of all shaping, the place where matter and will met to form reality. To hold that title was to wield the right to create and destroy the foundations of existence itself, and humanity, the forgotten inheritors, had just reclaimed it. The arbiter's body dimmed until only a faint glimmer remained. Then the legends were true. The first civilization was not lost. It was waiting. Elias nodded once, waiting to see if the galaxy learned to be better. The arbiter asked, voice trembling like the last echo of a dying star, "And your judgment?" Elias's gaze swept across the chamber, across the countless species that had laughed at humanity's simplicity, mocked their small blue world, and dismissed their compassion as weakness. "You still enslave," he said quietly. "You still burn worlds for profit. You still believe power is the same as wisdom. So our judgment is this: your stars will burn in silence until you learn otherwise." The arbiter recoiled. "You cannot silence the stars." Elias closed his eyes. The air shimmered. In the distance, the light of the holographic display vanished completely. Every star, every system, every pulse of distant light gone. For a moment, the galaxy itself seemed to cease to exist. The chamber plunged into darkness, and then, as slowly as dawn, one star reignited, a single point of blue-white brilliance that pulsed like a heartbeat. "That," Elias said, "is Earth, the first and the last light of the architects." He turned and began to walk away. The delegates did not move. None dared speak. Even the arbiter, whose mind spanned centuries, remained frozen, its crystalline body dim. At the edge of the platform, Elias paused and looked back once more. "When the architects fell, the stars mourned. When we rise again, they will remember. Do not make them mourn a second time." The light engulfed him and he vanished. For a long time, the council sat in silence, surrounded by the echo of their own fear. Outside, in the endless dark, the stars flickered faintly, as though holding their breath. And for the first time since the dawn of the galaxy, the mighty council of civilizations felt small beneath a single, ancient truth. The world they had dismissed as primitive had spoken its true title: Earth, the keepers of the silent forge. And the stars went silent to listen,